Welcome to Build a Drone Reviewer Podcasts, episode 55 and 56, Rotor Talk Live. Got that coming up next. Welcome to this special double podcast of Rotor Talk Live. In the first episode, be Rotor Talk Live, Evo 2 release, Zino 2 stability, Mavic Mini still hot. Now, in this live stream, I was joined by Ron Brown, Marcus Crawford, and Lauren Donauer, and we discussed a number of items regarding the Zino 2, including stability concerns, a gimbal cable issue, precision landing, and we discussed the impending release of the Evo 2 and why the Mavic Mini is still hard to come by. So we're going to go ahead and roll that broadcast in its entirety, and then after that's over, I will tell you about episode 56. Welcome, everyone, to Rotor Talk Live, Season 3, Episode 12, Zino 2 stability issues, Evo 2 release, and we're going to talk about the Mavic Mini still being so hot. Mr. Marcus Crawford, how are you this evening?
Hey, I'm doing good. We were just talking before we went live here about grocery shopping. My wife and I got up early to hit the, quote, senior citizen hour this morning, and it was an adventure, but we did get some groceries, and that was fine. Didn't fly any drones today. Weather was, we had rain off and on all day, so no drone flying today. But I'm going to give you one little clue here. I charged up a couple of drones just now. One of them you can guess is the Zino 2. The other one, the initials are MM.
I wouldn't know. Ron, would you have a guess on that?
Yeah. Pardon, Bill?
Would you have a guess on that? And how are you?
Well, I'm not a guessing man, but I'll let the audience figure it out.
How are you this evening, Ron?
Well, I'm doing well. Now, I also went to the grocery store this morning, got up early, crack of dawn, went out at 7 a.m., but I had a much better experience than Marcus. We went to the Acme Markets. Did I hear an echo?
Just for a second, that was me.
Okay, it wasn't me. I'm just saying it wasn't me. But yeah, we had a much better experience than Marcus did. We didn't see big lines, and the only thing that seemed to be sold out is toilet paper and Clorox wipes or whatever. Everything else was in pretty good stock.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I know people. This is this weekend grocery shopping. But it was a good day to shop, and it was also a decent day to fly, too. I mean, it still feels like winter down here at the shore. But I got out this afternoon. I took 2 drones out, and let's see. Let me do the initial game like Marcus. One of them was let's see here. It was a Z in it. It was a Z and a 2 in it. And the other drone was, I'm glad I brought this up because we're going to do a promo. The other drone had an S and a 2 in it.
There you go.
Bill, how was your day? Did you have a shopping adventure, or was it a good day to shop?
Well, there were 250 people. We had changed our mind last night and didn't get up, and found out there were 250 people waiting at Publix at 7 a.m. for the senior citizen hour to shop. And I said,
how close is the nearest Publix to your house, Bill?
Less than 2 miles.
Less than 2 miles. So that's normally
actually
good.
I have, believe it or not, okay. It's crazy how many Publixes there are, because, the logic behind building a Publix is a Walmart doesn't go in if a Publix is there. That's why they build them everywhere around here. I have another one that's 2.1 miles from me in the other direction. So it's like, go figure. All right. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I want to give you guys an update for the state of Florida, and I just want to make everybody aware of this. We found out yesterday from our governor, he's been under a lot of pressure to shut the state down. He informed us that there are 191 flights a day coming from the New York City area into the state of Florida. And estimates are there's at least one person with coronavirus on each flight. And his solution was to have everyone self-quarantine for 14 days, which is not realistic. The projections are if the state of Florida isn't shut down by next Monday, our hospitals will be overrun. So I want to give you guys the lowdown on this. And our governor refuses to do anything about it. So keep us in your thoughts and prayers, guys, because Valerie and I may be hunkering down for the long haul for this. I think it's going to exponentially has the potential to get really bad down here. So, okay. With all that being said, we're going to talk about drones tonight. We're going to have a good time talking about drones tonight.
Virus-free drones.
Yes. Okay. And you guys remember how Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens' book, how it opened?
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
And it was the worst of times. Okay. And we're going to talk about Zino 2 stability issues. All right. Now, Ron had a different experience than Marcus did with the Zino 2 stability. So I'm going to have Ron go first here and tell us how his experience was on his, I'll call it for lack of a better term, stability test with a Zino 2.
This weekend, I think it was Saturday, I went out to the beach and I took a couple drones out. It wasn't a comparison test. I just happened to be hovering 2 drones. I hovered the Zino 2 and the Scudio 2 because everything's 2 nowadays or whatever. But you know, I thought that the Scudio 2 would show the Zino 2 up, but it didn't. I mean, it was a windy day and they both got blown a little bit to the left and the right or back and forth, however you want to say it. But as far as keeping their distance from the ground, I put them between 6 and 7 feet high. And that darn Zino, I mean, it took a while for me to get the Zino calmed down and over to that spot. But once I had in that spot, that thing barely moved up and down at all. And I'm going to say I let it go there for a minute or better, and it did. I'm going to say just as good as the Scudio did. The Scudio hung better from going back and forth, but as far as height, they were pretty much even. The only thing I should have filmed off camera is the Scudio. As soon as it took off, it got its bearings. And I could move it right over where the Zino took off, and it kind of like was all over the place for a couple minutes. Like Bill says, you need a good amount of open space to take off and land the Scudio too. But once I got it, homed in there, it held. But I got an update on that story. I'll make this quick. Tonight I went out and I took a couple drones out. Actually, the same 2 drones, the 2s I'll call them, Scudio 2 and the Zino 2. And this week I took the Zino up from one of the seawalls or whatever on the beach, and so I hit it straight, but there was nothing around the seawall, and that thing went straight up. I guess I don't know if I had to control the height. It went straight up, and it just hung there. It didn't move even on takeoff. I mean, it didn't move up and down. It didn't move side to side. That thing just took off and hung there like it was a DJI drone. So there was no updates today, so I don't know why it did better. All I can guess is this area had less magnetic interference than the other area I was flying at. But this baby was I didn't even do a hover test coming down because that takeoff, I was on a wall about 4 or 5 feet high. It took off, another 5 feet. It just stayed right there. And it wasn't real windy today, but there was a breeze going on the beach. So, I mean, just this is a couple hours ago. I mean, I could have been happy with hover. Can I duplicate this hover again? I don't know. But as of right now, it was a great day to hover.
It was a great day to hover.
So, Marcus, what are your most recent experience with hovering your Scudio 2 in various wind conditions and locations?
Well, I presume you're meaning the Zino 2, not the Scudio 2.
Oh, I'm always yeah.
No problem. No worries.
I won't mean to say Scudio the rest of the show. If I say Scudio, I mean to say Zino.
That's fine, Ron. I just want
thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah. Well, Ron, all I can say is evidently you got the good one because poor Jimmy Perez here in the chat, his flew away today. Had a disconnection and it flew away. So, Jimmy, I want you to know that's just the worst thing that can happen to anybody with a drone, and I'm so sorry to hear that. And any one of us would be gutted to see something like that happen. So, in any case, you just made me think about something, Jimmy. There is that Find Aircraft on the app now, and I've never messed with it. I never tried around with it. As long as you got battery power, it might help you. But anyway, that aside, Ron, to your question, you got the good one, evidently, because if you watch my video, you want to see the Hubsan drop. Let me tell you, that thing went up and came down. But listen, here's what I'm not doing is I am not trashing the drone. I really like that drone. So it actually, what I'm talking about it moving around and hovering and stuff. Listen, for fine work, like for instance, you could do with your Mavic Mini, right? Your Mavic Mini is very stable and so forth. I just don't think the Zino 2 is going to be that kind of drone. And in fact, I was telling Bill, I think my Zino 1 is more stable than my Zino 2. I mean, it moves around a lot. It's got those downward sensors. It's always moving around doing something. So I don't know if it's just mine. I don't know. You know, I know for a fact other people have had the same experience that I've had. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't even know what to say, but there is a ton to like about that drone. I mean, every time I fly that thing, you just can't hardly wipe the grin off of my face because it's so fast. And we're talking about stability, but when you have it in the air, it handles good. Now, I'm not going to tell you that it is as precise and handles precisely like my Mavic 2, for instance, because it doesn't, but it handles good, and it's got a good camera on it. And in my video, I did a couple of those. I did the orbit mode around that cell tower, and it did it perfectly. I did the line fly mode where you can set the drone to automatically fly in a line, and I had it going sideways. And now, why would you want to do that? The advantage of that is then you're able to focus on framing your picture. You're not flying the drone then, so you set it up beforehand. You can focus on framing your picture and getting all of those settings right in that kind of situation. And the drone does that kind of stuff very well. So anyway, that was probably more information than you wanted, Ron.
Oh, that was great.
See, I've been holding my Zino 2 here. That's the way it hovered outside today.
Oh,
and real quick, before we never get back to this, I never quite understand line flight. Marcus, you need to do a tutorial on line fly.
I kind of did a mini tutorial on that last video that I posted yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's like I said, well, it's just like what did DJI call it, Bill? I'm trying to remember.
Do you want to call it?
Most people call it headless mode, I guess.
Well, the Zino 2 has headless mode as well. This is an automated flight mode, Ron, that you're not touching the stick.
Right, but it's different from waypoints.
Well, it's basically, think of it as this, Ron. Starting at one point, ending at another. So that would be similar to a waypoint.
So it's kind of like a baby waypoint.
Exactly. And you set
a poor man's waypoint.
You set the angle of the drone, and that allows you to then and it brings up the map when you're doing it. So you know exactly where the drone's going to start. You know exactly where it's going to end in a hover, and then you're able to then focus on your camera and on the gimbal.
That's a good thing. Now, I got a question for both of you, okay? Because one of the things that I experienced with the Zino 1 was crabbing. And what I mean by crabbing for everybody is, you know, I'm pulling the stick forward and we're, you know, having the I'll call it the Hubsan drift, okay? How's the Zino 2 with that? Is it better?
Well, that's interesting, Bill, that you experienced that, because I can tell you my original Zino, they solved that a few firmware updates back, and it pretty much goes straight as an arrow. For the short answer, the Zino 2 is fine. I have experienced no crabbing, anything weird along those lines. In fact, I will say this. You know, I'm kind of complaining about stability and so forth. The Zino 2 has so many less problems than the original Zino did when it was first introduced. It's not even a good comparison. Ron?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really notice hardly any crabbing. I mean, the sticks aren't quite as precise, you know, as your typical DJI drone. But once you figure that out and you compensate your flying skills or whatever, you'll have no problems flying this thing straight or whatever. Again, it flies, again, the sticks just not quite as precise as DJI, but again, in my mind, I can easily adjust to something that's less precise and make do with it. I mean, I can make all the maneuvers I want with the Zino 2, as far as manual orbits and moves and stuff like that. It just just a little bit, different stick input than a DJI drone. But I think come next Monday, or whenever whenever the first day you get to fly it is, I don't think that you'll experience any crabbing or precise flying issues as you would on a Zino 1, or at least the early software version of the Zino 1.
That's really good to hear. One of the things that I have to say to both of you is one of the things that's been universal since you guys got it and have been posting videos is the quality of the video to me. Okay. The quality of the video rivals, I would say, a DJI drone. It really does. The details are really super sharp. I mean, I'm looking when Marcus is up there and the mountains are in the background, and the horizon is level. There's no issues with the horizon at all. I mean, and Ron, when you're at the beach, those details are just super sharp. I mean, it really is, guys. Hubsan does some things right, and I got to say this for that camera. I think they've done a good job with that.
Well, Bill, I want to, you brought up your Dickens reference, A Tale of Two Cities. Well, I mean, with the Zino 2, I'm happy with the camera, but it's a tale of two cameras. When you have the camera not pointing at the sun, I'm very pleased with the camera. It ranks up there, not with my, Zino 2 Pro, my Mavic 2 Pro, but it ranks up there with my favorite ones. But the minute you get it anywhere pointed at the sun or the, or any, kind of bright light source, that's when it falls apart. Then it looks like, then it's not anywhere near my favorite cameras. And I've tried going all the way up and putting the Freewell ND32 polarized filter on it, and it didn't seem to help much. Today I went out and played with the exposure settings, which I did the first day I had the drone. I thought it kind of made the video look kind of muddy or whatever, but we've had a couple software updates. So I'm going to look at, I just flew right before I came home, got in the shower and got ready for the show, but I will look at it after the show and give everybody a full report. But again, for me, it's a tale of two cameras. The one camera, I love it. The other camera, it's it's not good, and I don't think it's going to be a good sunset camera unless Hubsan could do a firmware update that'll maybe fix that. Or if I can figure out a way to dial in the settings between the exposure and the shutter settings and everything else. Marcus, what's your opinion of the Hubsan Zino 2 camera? I said the right drone this time.
You did. Well, so I am like you two. I'm impressed with the camera. I agree with what Ron said. It's not so good when it's pointed at the sun. The other thing that I have noticed is, Bob Rutter said course lock in a DJI drone.
Right.
Yeah.
Give that man a free T-shirt.
Exactly. Yeah. If we had them.
Whenever we ever get a T-shirt.
Yeah. Gosh, I lost my train of thought there.
I'm sorry.
The camera. No, that was
the camera, and then you said somebody made a point about the course lock. You were talking about your impressions of the video quality. So continue on, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I truly am a senior citizen. So
did you get carded this morning?
I did not get carded. No,
I thought with that beard, they may have thought you were 50.
Yeah, it's possible. A young man of 50. Heck, I'd settle for being a young man of 60.
I'd love to see 50 again. How about you, Bill?
50? I would take 55 at this time.
There you go.
All right, that's the end of the old man show. Whatever, Marcus. What do you think of that Zino 2 camera?
I love it. This is great. So the camera, the one thing that I've noticed, and Ron, I noticed it a little bit in your video, and I went back and looking through my raw video, and I've seen it in other people's Zino 2 video that they post. There is, upon occasion, you'll get a little micro vibration or shake in that camera. Now, it's especially evident when the drone is descending. When it's coming down, you'll see a little bit of that shake. and then I've seen it sometimes when the drone is coming to a stop. Often if you're in a hover, it's pretty good. You don't see it much, but yeah, I mean it happens. So and that's something that has to do with those dampers, those silicone dampers that are dampening the gimbal. Evidently, I don't know what about the design, but they're not quite doing their job. Now, the other thing that people will tell you, and it's true, is often that's a sign of a prop being out of balance. And then, when we had the kind of props that we had on the Phantoms, you could balance those props. But these props that are screwed on, if anybody knows how to balance them, I don't. I mean, there may be a way, but
yeah.
You're talking. It's interesting. You're talking about those dampeners because that was a failure point on the X-Star Premium from Autel. Okay, because the camera resembled a lot. I mean, the way it sat in there and everything. That's why they had so many patent kind of concerns with DJI and Autel, because it looked a lot like the Phantom. But they said that was a failure point, and somebody told me right away, make sure you buy some more of those. And he said, I would advise replacing them like every 3 months because they would just wear out. And what somebody had told me as far as a dampener is like, it's like now with the front wheel drive cars, it's like the shock absorber. Okay. Right. And if you absorb that shock for the whole camera assembly while you're flying, and to make it, not so it's like, just so it looks like you're just flying nice and straight and smooth, which you usually are. DJI has a real good dampening system, okay, on theirs. I will say that. But, notwithstanding, and the other thing that I wanted to talk about too, and I know Marcus actually ordered it, was the cable issue with the Zino 2 for the camera.
Hey, Bill, can I expand a little bit? I did not to about what you were talking about the dampers.
Sure, go for it.
So, a way that I was able to prove that is with my original Zino, I had a DJI Osmo Pocket, and we all know that it has a really good 3-axis gimbal on it, right? So, what I did is I zip tied that baby to the original Zino, the Hubsan, the original Hubsan, and that way I had a video from the Osmo Pocket as well as the camera on the original Zino. Well, the stuff that came off the Osmo Pocket, even though it has a nice stabilized platform on it, was just full of jello. Now, why? Because I just had it strapped on there solid. So all the vibration of the drone itself was really vibrating that camera. Now, when I brought the drone to a stop, hey, it would get pretty good. It would kind of clear up and get pretty good. So that's the same thing with those little silicone dampers. That's why they're in there, and they're supposed to isolate that gimbal from the rest of the drone. So I just wanted to describe that for people. I'm sure a lot of guys probably know more about it than I do. But
before we move on to the ribbon cable, yeah, I definitely have seen the micro, stutters Marcus thought about. But on video, I'm probably going to drop tomorrow, where I'm flying, and I turn around, but I think it's after I turn around, I saw the gimbal take a big dive, Marcus. I mean, I saw it go boom, right down, and I don't think it was due to a high wind. I mean, I've seen the MM drone that we'll talk about later on. I've seen that thing in high wind. It pushed the gimbal straight down, right. And every time I bring it up, it gets pushed back down. But the Zino 2 gimbal is very robust, and what I mean by that is a lot of drones, foldable drones, if you put the ND filter on them before you start the drone up, it can't pass the gimbal test. But the Zino 2 gimbal, it's so strong, you can put any filter in that thing. It has no problems passing the gimbal test with the filter already on. But again, I saw, and I think this happened without any type of ND filter on. It was, I think it's from Saturday. I just saw it just boop. It just went right down all the way on its own. And I brought it back up. I didn't have an issue with the rest of the flight, but so I mean, it has little shutters, but I've seen some, I'm going to call them floppy ones too, where it just boop, flops down, and I didn't have Marcus's function button set to bring it back up real quick at that point again. And I watched Marcus's I think it's a couple videos ago where he demonstrates the function button, and I had a point I was going to say about my flight tonight. I was going to pass on some real good information, but the old man syndrome is already out my mind. So if Marcus, if you have another comment on the gimbal issues, I'll throw it back to you. We can throw it to Bill for the ribbon.
Well, so one more thought on that gimbal, and that is, if you look at my first flight with the Zino 2, when I was out at the Snake River Canyon, I was out over the canyon, over the Snake River. I threw it into sport mode, and I headed right straight back for me. And this is a really fast drone, folks. I mean, it really gets going. And yeah, I think we had a combination of that. So I'm putting the drone in a high speed mode, right? And then we had a crosswind, and boy, it threw that gimbal into a tizzy. But what I will say was, as soon as I got back over and I stopped and I hovered for a second, the gimbal recovered, and it found its level perfectly again, and it was fine for the rest of the flight. So I remember that could happen occasionally with the original Mavic Pro, not the Mavic 2, but the original Mavic Pro. The way that gimbal was designed, that could happen to you sometimes in high winds and in just the right situation. And then, like Ron said, we've all seen it with the Mini. So anyway, that's
no, and that's a good point. And my final thought before we talk about the ribbon cable is, Ron brought up a good point about ND filters and putting them on there, because the first time, and they weren't free well, they were some kind of aftermarket that I was given to test and to put on the Mavic 2. Holy crap. I mean, it's just like right away, it's just like gimbal overload error, it's just like no matter what I did until I put the regular lens back on the Mavic 2, it wasn't going to do it. And then I got some free wells for it, and it was fine. Go figure. I mean,
yeah. I bought the Polar Pros for the Mavic 2 Pro, and you take the I'm gonna call it the lens off, and then you put the Polar Pro on instead, and it has no problems at all because it's the same exact weight.
Yeah,
the Anafi is famous for that, right, Ron? The Anafi,
you have to put them on hot. The Anafi will not pass the camera test with any of the Freewell filters. Now, I've never tried another brand of Freewell filter, but except Freewell, but none of the Freewell filters it fails. And most of my little drones, the Spark, it couldn't pass the gimbal test most of the time on with a filter on. And a lot of smaller drones have that issue, but that's what I'm saying. The Zino 2 doesn't fall into the small, like, kind of drone, the mini drone that won't be able to do that. It not only flies robustly, but it has a robust gimbal. It may have some micro jitters, but it can move some weight around.
Well, in the last subject for the Zino 2 discussion tonight is the ribbon cable. Now, our friend Chad B, he experienced an issue with his ribbon cable, and Hubsan is probably sending it to him by slow boat. And our resident ribbon cable expert in the house, Mr. Marcus Crawford there, he found one on AliExpress, and he posted a link. And Marcus, if you could post that link in the chat tonight.
It's funny you mentioned that. Look at the chat.
Well, guess who joined us? Looked like Lauren's in the house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, nice. Hey, excellent. Lauren's here. But I did post that.
Your timing was impeccable, Lauren, because we're just finishing up with Zino 2 discussion, okay? I think you timed it right. As far as that's
just lucky, I guess.
Your timing was impeccable. So,
Lauren.
But just to kind of tie things up with the ribbon cable issue, Chad had the experience where he lost FPV and couldn't figure out what it was, and then found out it was the ribbon cable. So, and apparently that's a simple replacement fix for us if we have the part. Now, Marcus was able to find that part for, I believe, about $10 on AliExpress, and he's already got one ordered, which is smart. And I think, I'm going to do that when I get paid as well, too. And, fortunately, I know Ron and Marcus haven't had that issue yet.
Which paycheck is that, Bill? The one from Uncle Sam or the one from Publix?
The one from Publix. That's on Thursday. That one's coming sooner than the one from Uncle Sam.
Hey, I heard news today. I hear Lauren's getting a paycheck too from the Prime Minister.
Oh, really?
That's what they said. They said everybody in Canada is going to get paid.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, that's the first news I've heard.
Yeah.
Well, Lauren's got more money for his drone fund. So, your guys' thoughts, Marcus, Ron?
Well, the cable, I just think because we've seen enough failures with it, not a huge amount, so it's not like everybody's cable fails, but for $10 to be able to get your drone back in the air the same day if it does happen to fail, why not? That's cheap insurance. Just keep that thing in there, and it is a user serviceable part. There's no soldering. There's things that, I think any of us in here could probably replace it. So it seemed prudent, and I did put that link in the chat. Bill.
Thank you, Marcus.
Good. Thank you, Marcus. That's excellent.
It seems like a much less intensive repair issue than what Blue Skyver came across, where the micro USB port came off the motherboard inside his controller. And when he tried to take it to a shop and have it repaired, soldered back on, he didn't have FPV anymore. So Hubsan did wind up sending him another controller. But so we've had a couple, what we call them hardware issues. And, we don't know. I mean, Blue Skyver was one of the very first people in North America, at least that has a YouTube channel, that received one. And Chad B was pretty early too. So maybe these models, maybe by the time ours rolled off the factory line, maybe these issues may have been taken care of. I mean, we'd like to think of whatever, but yeah. But because Laura knows this. Even with DJI drones, there could be some QC quality control issues with some early models of any product, really, not just drone.
Oh, there's always teething problems, and in Bill's next segment, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about.
All right. Well, we're gonna touch real briefly here now on the Evo 2 now. Which I don't know, Lauren. Do you have I know your place is an Autel dealer, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything as far as when you're gonna get those in?
Actually, to be honest, we're passing on the Evo 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but we are going to go with the 6K Evo 2.
Okay.
The straight Evo 2. Like, frankly, we don't feel there's enough advantage to even handling that compared to something like the Mavic 2 Pro. It's way too much for most customers to do any kind of a video processing and stuff. So we kind of put a feeler out in my group, and my group is pretty much local. We've got about 600 members there. And to be honest, there was really no interest in just the Evo 2. It was the Evo 2 6K with 1-inch sensor that drew a lot more attention. So we're actually just going to bypass that because the 1-inch sensor one is only supposed to be 2 or 3 weeks behind it. So
okay, that's good, because last I heard about I have someone who had placed a pre-order. He had received an email that they wanted the balance. So that indicates that delivery is imminent, I would think. So that's what I hear on the AK Evo 2. So stay tuned, and as soon as we find out some information. Now, our good friend Candano, Original Dobo, put out a video the other day on the Evo Dual, which they're just kind of copying off of DJI as far as the name is concerned. And that was a pretty good video that he put out, by the way. So you guys want to check that out. And I got to say this, because I had the Mavic 2 Dual, and the thermal imaging, I mean, it was fantastic. I had it for a week, was able to test it, and it was fun. But the sharpness of the images from that compared to the Evo 2 Dual are like night and day. The Evo 2 Dual just crushes it. I mean, it's just and you need that sharpness and detail when you're using it for first responder type work, whether you're looking at a structure that's on fire or trying to find a missing person in the middle of the night or day. You need those kind of details. But and I think Lauren will give a thumbs up. That's a very pricey drone. You're not going to find a lot of consumers going out and buying an Autel Evo Dual. Okay.
Oh, absolutely no way. Because if you're lucky, it's only going to be $4,000 to $5,000 less. Or, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Most people just don't have that kind of cash laying around, and realistically, it's a very specialized drone, and most people do not need thermal abilities. So, unless you're really working in the industry, nice toy to have, but you better have a big wallet to do it.
Yeah.
Cliff's asking, what's the price of the Dual?
They told me at CES, Ron, $8,000. That's what they told me at CES.
Oh, Lauren hasn't.
Oh, you got the chart.
Lauren's got all the prices there.
1 second.
While Lauren's looking it up, Bill.
Just keep talking. I'll jump in.
Yeah. While Lauren's looking that up, Bill, did you go to Autel's website today? Is any Autel Evo 2 available for sale today?
I did not go out to Autel's site today. I didn't have didn't have time.
Right. So we don't know, or check Best Buy or to see if anybody actually has it, because we were promised the end of March, and today is, by my watch, today is the 24th. So by the next time we do a show, Bill, it will be the 31st of March. So they've got 7 days to live up to what their promise.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we had talked about this offline, or I think we talked about it on Saturday on your special edition show that we had. That Autel really kind of needs to kind of like be on point here and get this drone out on time, because they had the big falter with the Evo. Okay, and it comes out at CES. The FCC stuff comes out in February, and then it was like crickets until late June, early July that year. And it was like, look how many sales that they had potentially lost as far as that was concerned. So, I mean,
and I brought up the question, how many sales did they lose this year if they dropped the ball again and they let DJI bring out the Mavic Air 2, the Mavic, whatever they're calling it. What if DJI beats them out with the new Mavic before they can drop the
that's a real point there, Ron. I hope they don't, because I want to see Autel succeed, because it helps DJI, it helps all of us. When a company succeeds, it helps all of us. Lauren, what'd you get for your information?
Actually, I don't have the Dual on there.
Surprise. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, I've got everything else, all kinds of parts and accessories and stuff like that, but the Dual's not on there yet.
Well, Cliff, when we get that price, we'll contact you, and then you could use one of our purchase links when you hit that buy button.
Well, like I said, Rob, they told me at CES that it was going to be about $8,000.
Yeah, you're right on that, Marcus.
Marcus,
the price that I got as well.
Did they give you a review unit at CES to play with?
Well, I got to handle them. I didn't get to fly one, but they were flying, and I'm sure Lauren saw this too. They were flying the Dual, and they had an example of that infrared camera, and it was, the resolution on that thing was really impressive. You know how you look at most infrared pictures and you just see a blob of a different color or whatever. This was very defined. You could see a lot now. And if you were in the construction industry, for instance, you were working with a power company and you're looking for hot spots, I can imagine that would be very handy. Search and rescue, obviously. Wow, they're always looking for that infrared when they're trying to find somebody out someplace. So, yeah, I mean, I think for the right people, that thing is going to be good as gold, and that $8,000 is probably a reasonable price.
Lauren, you had something you want to share?
When we get to it.
Okay, all right. Well, the next subject that we're going to be talking about is, okay, I entitled it "The Mavic Mini is Still Hot," and I think this is one thing I think we kind of, all four of us are in agreement. You know, it's still one of these drones that, even though it was introduced back in November, it's still, you know, I know, for instance, at the local Best Buy, you know, you have to order it. Lauren, how are sales for the Mini?
We're backed up 75 orders right now.
Wow. That's crazy.
Because of the virus. Production
Yeah,
down a little.
other circumstances that I can't quite talk about, but yeah, like today we had 10 orders, for example, for the Mini. You know, it's slowing down, but not really that much.
Okay.
Really that much.
What I want to do is this, okay? You know, we all know probably, and I think all of us would agree, probably the number one selling point on it is 249 grams, okay? Now, I want to go around to talk to all of us to see, list a couple of other points why it's doing so well. Whoever wants to go first, jump right in.
Well, so we can just go clockwise. How's that?
Yeah, you go, absolutely.
Well, obviously the 249 grams with regulations that are upcoming, although it's probably going to be years before we see them. More important in Canada right now, probably, than it is here. But the main attraction of that drone for me is that you've got a good long flight time with it. You're easily up in the air for 25 minutes with that drone, with that lithium-ion battery. And the next thing is that compact size. It's just so easy to take that drone with you. So that, and I'm gonna make 4 points here. I just put them together in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing is the stability and precision of that drone. You know, we joke around about the Zino 2 or something. I mean, that Mavic Mini is in just a whole nother category. It is solid as a rock. It even in wind, so you can get it in the wind and you'll see it moving around. Now, if it's a strong enough wind, it can blow it away. But I'm saying, if it's in a wind that it can cope with, it still holds its position. The other thing is the handling of it. Finally, the last point I want to make is a camera on that drone that punches way above its weight class. It's a 2.7K camera. The fidelity on that camera is just so impressive. Ron.
Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, I'm gonna echo what Tony Fast said in the chat here. I mean, when I purchased the Mavic Mini, the 249 grams, you know, didn't mean much to me at all. Whatever. I mean, way down the list of whatever. Just because I mean, we didn't have that law yet, and even here it's proposed it won't be here for 3 years, and I'll have the Mavic Mini 2 by then, anyways. So it didn't mean anything to me, but size did matter. Size does matter, and the fact that it was so small, but still had that image quality, and had that flight ability. I mean, it basically, as far as precision flying, it flies almost like its bigger brother Mavics. In that small compact form. And yes, it didn't have the 4K. Everybody wanted 4K or whatever. But as Marcus alluded to, the video of that thing is still terrific, especially at the price point. I talked about the Zino 2 being a tale of two cities with the camera. The Zino 2 camera is better if you're faced away from the sun, but the Zino, I mean, the little Mavic Mini is definitely a better drone when it's facing the sun. Its camera handles bright exposure to the sun much better than the Zino 2 does. So, and it takes a great picture also. The JPEGs are solid out of it too. I mean, more than solid, really good. So for me, it was camera, but I mean size, and not only size. I mean the Spark was small too, but Spark also had that 12 minutes of flight time. Where this Mavic Mini, it has a flight time you get from your bigger drone. So that's one of the more important things, to me as well. So, the kind of, wrap it up. It's just the type of, it's so small. You can take it any place with you. Even if you're taking a light bag, a light pouch or whatever, it can get a quality image. So, what do you think, Lauren? Are you a Mavic Mini owner, and are you a happy Mavic Mini owner?
Oh, absolutely. Like we've done some commercial work using the Mavic Mini because it absolutely punches out of its weight class when it comes to doing things like night video with very minimal amount of lighting. It is just amazing how much quality you get right out of the drone. No post-processing or anything like that. And Bill, if you share my screen for a second.
Sure thing.
Okay. On this weekend, I was teaching a class, and Ron, you were talking about shooting into the sun. This shot was done with a Mavic Mini, and as you can see, the sun is a really big part of that. Mm-hmm. It was actually what I call a forced HDR shot. But as you can see, like the sun didn't totally blow out the whole picture. Mm-hmm. And, that's one of the amazing things with it. And I'm actually going to go to the next one here because, again, we're facing the sun. And this is a shot that I did. And as you can see, again, doing a forced HDR shot, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that picture.
There's something wrong with the ground, though, there, Lauren. There's a bunch of white stuff on it.
Yeah. Well, I think the clouds got dandruff or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I believe it was spring last weekend too, right?
Well, it was. It's like I always say. I sure hope that when summer rolls around this year, it falls on a weekend.
There you go.
And thanks for sharing that, Lauren. That's fantastic.
Yeah, great photos, Lauren.
Those are fantastic. And, that's one of the things, I'm going to, I'll take my turn here. One of the things that camera or the drone is underrated for is still pictures. So many times, and all of us would agree, the first thing we think about is the quality of the video that we get from a drone. But, we don't really think about the JPEGs or the stills that we get from it. And this drone kicks butt with still pictures. I mean, it's something you don't realize it until you get up there and you start taking some still pictures. And, and I'll tell you what, and Ron will probably attest to it, being that, I'll call him, for lack of a better term, a semi-professional photographer. It takes a lot of patience to capture a great shot. All of us would agree with that. And especially, if you're going after a sunset, your timing has to be right. You have to be at the right angle to catch the sun and reflections and everything. And fortunately, I've been right. And also, fortunately, too, I think DJI has compensated quite a bit in some of these terms, and especially. But, one of the best sunsets I ever captured was with the Mavic Mini, and that was last December. And, it was just, the sky was like this red, orange, pink hue bluish hue back there, and the Mini it just exploded when I came back. And it was one of those ones where, one of the other things that I really like besides taking pictures with it is its ease of being able to get that thing up in the air. Even with the Mini, even with my Mavic 2 Pro and the smart controller, okay, I've been able to get my Mini up faster. Okay, it's just for me, it's just like woo, woo, woo. My wife says, you may want to go out there and catch this, and I just come home from work. I dropped my bag. I grabbed the Mini. I grabbed the controller, got my phone. I was out the door, and I was up and going in like 3 or 4 minutes because, again, timing was everything with this. And I got up, and that was one of these sunsets that, you die for because, it's just the way the sun was reflecting and the colors and everything. It was just fantastic. And I think for me, one of the things that I absolutely love about it is its portability. Because I was able to, I didn't have the GPC case at the time, but when we went up to Ohio in November, I used the case that came with the Flymore kit, and I put it in my overnight bag. And gosh darn it, it was so easy to take on a trip. I mean, it fit in my overnight bag. It was fantastic. And what a great experience it was. I got the drone up and I got a selfie with my granddaughter in it and all of us. I mean, that was just absolutely fantastic. So, those are kind of my thoughts about this. And I want to pose another question to everybody in the group. And, we'll start out again with Marcus here, is what one feature would you like to have seen added to the Mavic Mini that's not present there, whether it's software or hardware?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stay away from hardware, and I'll tell you why. Because they could not add any hardware to it because of that 249 gram weight restriction. So you're tempted to say obstacle avoidance, but obviously that's hardware, and they struggled to get the weight as light as they did. So that puts us into the software realm. And, it would be handy if it had a tracking function on it. I think particularly for the audience that drone, well, I hear you, Lauren. I understand your perspective completely. But what I'm saying is, if I'm thinking about the customer base that drone is aimed at, it's somebody that's out there on their bicycle or something like that, and they may want the drone to track them a little bit. And you would think that would be something that perhaps they could do with software. Although I keep thinking that maybe the drone does not have enough processing power to do that. I don't know. So anyway, that's my 2 bits. Ron?
I wanted to say something about, before I get to that feature, that about the Mini's such a good drone, that if the only 2 drones I own were the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mini, that would kind of complete. I would probably have everything I really needed just owning those 2 drones. They cover everything that kind of I want to do. So that would be like the perfect tandem. Plus, if you wanted a trip, like a once in a lifetime trip to Hawaii or someplace like that, you could actually fit both those drones in your bag and take them both with you, so you had a backup drone, which is kind of a nice thing. You can't say about a whole lot of drones. But back to your question, Bill, and Marcus, what you said you wanted better intelligent flight features as far as tracking, yeah. And I'm going to say what you can't pick your weight balance on the Mini. Is that correct, Marcus?
Oh, that's a good one, Ron. Yeah. That's kind of given. I'm going to say the white balance feature, and maybe on the photos, maybe let us do a DNG photo or whatever, rather than just a JPEG or whatever. I think those 2 are reasonable. That they're not either one's going to be that intensive processing that it's going to blow the little Mini's processor up. So that's my 1.5 update. We're going to throw it back to Marcus before we throw it to Lauren. No, well, I'm just saying, I take back my suggestion. I'm going with Ron's.
He's voting my way now. It's like we're back to politics. I've got
Marcus, you're too easy. Marcus, you're too easy. Be a man, stand up for yourself.
but we're going to throw it over to our candidate from Canada, Lauren here, and see what platform he's going to go with tonight.
Well, actually, I'm going to look at the dark side.
Oh.
If Bill wants to share my screen for me again.
Yes, I can. Let's.
Anyway, Hyle and I were talking last night, and just out of pure coincidence, Josh Spires, who also writes for Drone DJ, actually put up an article the following morning, and we're starting to see a little bit more of this, and where the front blades are actually hitting the body.
Oh no!
And highest question to me was, is this something that's happening on a regular basis? And as far as I've been able to tell from my sources, it's usually only happening with very aggressive flying, and it's not something that most people will come across, but it is still an issue. Is this something that DJI can fix? No. And that is because it's a physical design. However, they may be able to fix that with something along the lines of a little bit stiffer propeller. Every case that I've done a review on, it has been either in sport mode or just flat out very, very aggressive flying in regular GPS mode. That being said, that's probably the biggest downside that I have seen so far. And I honestly, I love the drone for what it is. For you guys, the 250 doesn't mean much. In other countries, such as Canada, there is no need to license the drone. There's no need to have a license to fly the drone. It gets around all of our aviation regulations, with the exception of one, which basically means don't fly like an idiot.
That's a heck of a regulation.
Well, that left me out.
It basically you don't fly to endanger aircraft or people. Which, that's pretty much, like I say, don't fly like an idiot. But that's been one of the huge selling points for us up here. Your guys' regulation is a little bit different in the fact that your under 250s still have to follow all the regulations. You just don't have to register, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
But here, they don't have to register them. You don't have to have a license. It falls into what we call our toy class. So that's why we keep selling them just like hotcakes.
And I can see why. And it's like I said, at Best Buy, you can't walk in and pick one up off the shelf. I mean, I find that pretty amazing. Even now it's how many months since past November, and it's still like that here, which I think is great. And I really got to echo what Ron and Marcus said about the white balance issue, and that would probably be my second thing. Okay, one of the things I would like to see, and believe it or not, it's not a hardware thing, but I would really like to have seen hyperlapse. Okay, being able, like when Ron and I were at North Reddington Beach, and the hyperlapse that I got from there was just phenomenal. And I was able to, I was going super slow because it was in hyperlapse, and I made sure of that. And just what I got from that was just phenomenal. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a better sunset with a hyperlapse than what I got when we were at Reddington Beach. It was just so good. And again, the portability factor with this too. It's like, you can go out to dinner, and next thing you know, hey, let's go to the beach and fly. It's like zip, 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 boom, and you're up. I mean, it's like when you have the Mavic 2, it's a little more, I won't use the word obvious, but it takes some more maneuvering around to do that. So I mean, they're just that's a huge plus for me. Again, for me, that portability factor with the Mini is just off the charts.
Hey, Bill, guess what? Under $500 drone has hyperlapse.
What under five? Let me guess. The Anafi,
the Zino 2.
The Zino 2.
Has hyperlapse at a low price point. So when you get that Zino 2, you can practice up on your beach hyperlapses on a budget.
I sure will. I mean, unfortunately, we hear and I haven't substantiated that beaches are closed. You're not allowed to go to the beach. So
well, what if you flew to the beach from a park or a parking lot?
Well, if I were a bad boy and to break the FAA rules, I could actually. It's about 5 miles to a beach, towards the west. I mean, if I was a bad boy and decided to do a long range test of the Mavic 2, but I'm not a bad boy, so I don't do those.
Well, if you have good eyes, it could be line of sight. If you had like Kent Clark Superman type vision,
that's true. That's very true. Well, I'm not even going to go there as far as that's concerned. Guys, we've had I really like this talk about the Mavic Mini because, and I'll say this, one of the other things that I know why it's so popular is, and I know Marcus and Ron are admins in my Mavic Mini group. We get 30, 35 people sometimes a day join that mini group. I mean, it's just off the charts, the number of people that join that group every day, and the other group that's like that too is the Mavic 2 group. But the Mini group, I mean, it just seems it's just been a constant influx of people, and people really have been very good in sharing ideas and good things in there, and I really like to see that. So, I thought this was a great discussion to have, it's still a fantastic drone. It's something I think all four of us would highly recommend. Without batting an eyelash. It's and as far as and the other thing that I wanted to touch on before we kind of wrap things up is I really like the app. Okay, the app was when you look at the DJI Go 4 app, okay, it's a good app, but as we've discussed before, you have to go down some menus to get some things, and especially for a flyer, a first-time drone owner. It's like, oh, where's the compass calibration? Oh, where's the gimbal calibration? Oh, how do I set white balance? All these questions. It's super easy on the DJI Fly app. I mean, everything is right there. I really like when you're doing an auto takeoff or an auto, or return to home. You have to hold that button and make sure that that circle completes for you to do that. And it's just, I think it's a very clean interface. It's easy to read. It's easy to understand. And I know Marcus knows about this too. The only beef that I have with that is the colors of the letters on there, because sometimes they are super hard to see if you have a bright day out there or against the clouds. So
spot on, Bill.
All right. Well, we're going to kind of wrap things up here, and I'm going to go around and, we'll go again clockwise with some final thoughts and anything you'd like to share. Marcus, take it away.
Hey, thank you for that, Bill. Final thoughts are going to be like they've been for the past few days. Hey, listen, everybody is under stress right now with this COVID-19 thing. People are out of work. Let's have fun with these drones, and that gives us a little bit of diversion from it. Remember to be kind to your neighbor and everybody around you. If you're tempted to flame somebody on Facebook or something, don't do it. We're all under stress right now. Just let's all just take care of each other. The other big shout out I want to give is today I did go to the grocery store this morning. We needed to pick up some stuff, and that is for the supply chain that we have in the United States of America. The grocery store shelves are full. Of course, there's a few things that we've all been talking about, like disinfectant wipes and toilet paper. Those shelves are empty. But as far as food, nobody's going to go hungry. So a shout out to all the truck drivers, all the grocery store workers, let alone all of our medical personnel that are taking care of us right now. And didn't want to get too corny there, but it's the truth and it's how I feel. Ron, go ahead.
My thoughts are as much as I talk about how great the Mavic Mini is, I haven't flown a thing. I can't remember when. It's just not a wintertime drone for me here at the Jersey Shore because of the winds off the ocean. It's not a good wind fighter. I tend to fly some of my more robust drones like the Mavic 2, and even the Scudio 2 is a very robust drone in the air, has no problem handling strong gale force like winds. And the newest guy in the collection, the Hubsan Zino 2, is one of the best wind fighters at all. Marcus had an incident a while back with his Mavic Mini where he almost lost the wind out Snake River Canyon. And we've talked that would have been the Hubsan Zino 2. It wouldn't have even been close. It had been right back, whatever. So the Mini lacks a little horsepower. So again, for people that live in a cold winter climate, and I shouldn't even say it, because poor Lauren's the one with the cold winter climate. I don't know if he has I don't know if he's got the breezes like we do at the Jersey Shore, but but the summertime, the Mini will be my summertime go-to. And I have another thought for you guys. What if Hubsan came out with a Zino Mini? Hubsan, Zino 2 Mini, that would be something, huh?
Hell, I'd buy it, Ron.
Sight unseen, right?
Yeah.
Bill's trying to hold it up here.
Gearbest already has them in stock, but
pre-order, Bill.
But they'll take 6 months to get here.
If you're lucky. Speaking of things that take a long time to get here, I think I don't know if you guys seen this. You guys are all familiar with the DJI, the Osmo Pocket. It's a small camera with a gimbal in it. Well, FIMI, the famous drone making company, they make a bunch of camera stuff too. They're traditionally sold on Gearbest, Banggood. They're making like a little clone called the Fimi Palm that actually has built-in Wi-Fi and some of the things that people clamored for out of the original Osmo Pocket. And it's like I pre-ordered it again way back, like you will say beginning of January, but I think it's actually starting to ship now. So I may have it in my hands in a few weeks. So we'll be putting that through the paces to see how good it is. Does it really compare to the Osmo Pocket, or is it just like a cheap knockoff? So that'll be coming up soon. And Marcus made a lot of great segments out there for the virus, everything. So I'm gonna keep my eyes short. Just everybody out there, stay safe. Virus free. Just try to follow whatever your local government is advising. Just keep yourself safe and all the people around you safe too. Lauren, let's hear your final thoughts for the night.
Well, I will reiterate what you guys said is, we're all in this together. So let's stay safe and not just protect yourself, but protect those around you, whether you love them or not. Just, be nice. And on that note, I'm going to ask Bill to share my screen again when he gets a second there.
I sure can.
I just wanted to say I had a wonderful weekend. I was out flying 4 drones that day. I was flying a Mavic Mini and a Mavic 2 Pro. Some of you guys might be familiar with this one. It's the M210 RTK. And part of the reason I wanted to show this was because of Ron's comment about the snow. And so we were out flying. There's a few of us from our group. So flying the 210 as well as the Inspire 2. And I got to say, there's no better medicine for when you're in this situation than just to get out and fly. And we got out there. There's about 5 or 6 of us out there, and we just had a blast. And we honestly, the only reason we shut it down, it was too many people started showing up and we couldn't do our social distancing. But anyways, get out there and fly when you can. Everybody be safe. And I sure hope that we all come together and help each other out.
Lauren and Ron and Marcus, thank you so much for those words. First of all, my first thing is I want to thank Metro Drones for their support of the channel. You absolutely rock. You've been a fantastic subscriber and a great friend and the channel, and not only our channel, but Ron's and Marcus's as well. And we thank you very much for that. One of the things I want to say is, I'll keep this very brief. Before Mr. Rogers made it on the big time and had Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, he ran a local show in the Pittsburgh area, and it was on public television. And it was a precursor to the Mr. Rogers show. But anyway, he would have guests on every now and then. And one of the guests that he had on was a local art teacher who showed him how to do several art projects for young people. And that happened to be my father. Unfortunately, one day I'm going to search through the University of Pittsburgh archives because, as you know, back in the day, there was no such thing as videotape, and they would have to actually film this via 16 millimeter to actually capture this. So, and someone told me that I would need to search through the University of Pittsburgh archives to do that. And one day I'm going to do that because, my dad wrote several letters and got several letters back from Fred Rogers. And, he had one thing to say. He said, in order to be successful at life, the first rule, always be kind. The second rule, always be kind. And the third rule, always be kind. And, in a time like this, put politics aside. It doesn't matter right now. It's time to be kind to everybody. And if you can do so with proper social distancing, please do so. There's a lot of seniors that could need help. And if you're able to do so safely, and to be able to follow what your government says, by all means, do that. Another word of encouragement too, and I've been seeing a lot of people have been talking about this, is if there's a favorite restaurant that you patronize, especially a locally owned one that has gift certificates, go online and buy some gift certificates from them. That's a huge way to let them know that you're still caring and that you will patronize them. If they have email addresses or Facebook pages, leave some messages of encouragement out there. And again, for small businesses, because this is impacting everybody. It's just not, this, unfortunately, it really is the invisible enemy. We can't see it, but it's out there. And, if we follow these things, we'll get through this together. And I also have to echo what Marcus says. We have an incredible supply chain, and I'm very proud of the company that I work for, Publix. I saw it demonstrated, with hurricanes, and their plan has been in place. And this is like an elongated hurricane for them. And their distribution centers are running 24/7. We have 7 of them, up and down the East Coast. They're nonstop. Their employees. I talked to a store manager the other day. He said he had several drop out, not because they were sick, just from sheer exhaustion. And so that's why they have like kind of reduced the hours in the store, closing it early, to not only give them time to clean the store and to restock, but to give employees a chance to get a break and get some rest. So, and also to our frontline people, our first responders, our medical professionals, our doctors, and our nurses especially. My mother was a registered nurse for almost over 40 years. These people are on the front lines dealing with this, and spending time away from their families. And do remember them, and do keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And I think Lauren kind of encapsulated things. Is with all this going on, with all this being said, when you push those sticks in and you hit that throttle up and you're up in the air, it's a great way to escape from all this. And if you're able to do so without, breaking any rules or violating anything, go for it. Take that time to do that, because, it's a way of escape. And it's something that provides a relief from all of this, drama that we're having right now. And it is unfortunately drama, but we will get through this. We will be stronger, and we will be better because of it, and I'm just not talking about the United States. I'm talking the world. Okay. And, this is another rallying point, I think, for the whole world to come together and say, we're going to beat this thing. So with all that being said, remember, it's never been so more important as it is now. It's a great day to fly, guys. And it really is. I hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. Be safe and take care. Okay. In episode 56, I hosted Rotor Talk Live, Zino 2 Surprise, Autel Update, DJI Release. Now join Ron Braun, Marcus Crawford, Lauren Donauer, and myself as we discussed a number of items regarding the Zino 2, including a significant firmware update. We discussed the latest news from Autel and if this will impact the release of the Evo 2, and we also discussed DJI's upcoming release. Plus, we had a Zino 2 surprise that you didn't want to miss. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 3, Episode 13, Zino 2 Surprises, Autel News, and DJI Release News. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. We're going to talk about, we'll spend some time later, in the very last part of the episode, talking about the big news today. But I want to focus a lot of this time on talking about drones here. Now, you're looking at an empty chair for Marcus, and let me explain why it's an empty chair. Right before we went live, they had an earthquake. His desk was shaking, his chair was shaking, the computer monitor was shaking, everything was shaking. He and his wife stood in the doorway. He's going out to check things, and then he's going to get back to us, but he wanted to leave his camera on in case, something happens. So, Ron, how are you this evening?
I'm doing very well, Bill. We're locked down here in New Jersey. We're really only going out for groceries and medicines and so on. But my town is still pretty safe at this point. I know people hear a lot of bad things about New Jersey, but it's still kind of mostly in North Jersey. But we have to stay inside so it doesn't get down here and social distance. But otherwise, I'm looking forward to a good night talking about drones. I heard you have a little surprise for us tonight, so I want to tell anybody that's in the chat, don't go any place. You may miss something. Lauren, how are you doing tonight?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Wasn't a good weekend for me. I lost a friend of mine to COVID on Friday. He lives in New York, so it's kind of a somber weekend, and it's rather unfortunate that because of everything that is going on, that I wouldn't even be able to attend his funeral. So it's kind of a sad thing, but it's a matter of everybody's got to pull together, and let's make this a shorter event rather than a longer event. Follow the directions that you're getting, and social distancing is going to be a big part of it. And if everybody can do that, it's going to be a short-term pain for a long-term gain. So hopefully everybody does their part.
Absolutely. And Ted Bowman's in the chat. You remember Ted lives in the same town as Marcus, and he just said in the chat, one picture fell. Yes, earthquake here, no damage I can see at my house. So that's good. So if you can remember Marcus and Ted and all the good folks up in Idaho right now, I mean, the last thing you need, I know back up in the where I grew up over in Western Pennsylvania and Ohio, they just had a recent bout with some tornadoes coming through, and it's just like, okay, on top of everything else, this is like the last thing you need with the pandemic going on. But we're going to move forward here. We're going to focus on drones for a while tonight. Try to get everybody, try to bring a little bit of smiles on your face. Okay. Now, the first piece of news, Ron told me last night on ZinoNation, which was Skydio 2 Nation last night. Some news about firmware update for the Zino 2. So if you could take that away, Ron, that'd be great.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, I woke up Monday morning and I saw on my iPhone, the iOS had a update for the Hubsan 2 app. So I downloaded the app, and it said that the two big things that were new were it had the other filing mode. It already had the filing mode where you draw the box over somebody and it files them, but now it added the other filing mode where it files the GPS and transmitter, which Zino 1 has. It was kind of surprising that Zino 2 didn't have that out from the get-go, but it has it now. I haven't tested any of this yet. And it also added a feature that I think only DJI drones had in the past. It had live YouTube streaming built into the app on the drone, which I think has been a DJI only feature at this point. Now, I did try to test that in the house, and I had very limited success in getting it to work, but we'll see in the future. And Jaybird just reported in the chat here that the firmware update has caused some FPV issues again. Something I haven't had to test it yet, so that's something to look for. But the big news is Marcus is back. Marcus, what is the report on the earthquake? Any damage?
So I just went out and checked my gas line, and my neighbor is 87 years old, so I went and checked his gas line. So no leaks, and it's fine, but it was a significant earthquake. I mean, I can't see, like in my neighborhood, I can't see any physical damage, right? But trust me, you guys watched it live.
Yeah, we did. Ron and I saw it live. Well, Dr. Ted was on, and he was saying a picture fell at his house. And no apparent damage over there. So it's like, good Lord. I was just saying right before you came on, it's like, the last thing you guys need or anyone needs is to have an actual disaster during this right now. I mean, it's like, okay, stop for a while, okay? Let us get our bearings, and then, whatever. Yeah. But wow.
So, of course, the local news is lit up pretty heavy, but I'll tell you, it was. I knew immediately what it was because you could feel it. It wasn't a truck driving by, right?
Yeah, no, we could see. Ron and I could see. I mean, his monitor was moving, the chair was moving, the bookcase was moving. I mean, it was, it was a real deal. I mean, it wasn't something on a Hollywood sound set. I mean, it was the real deal kind of thing. And wow.
We don't know how strong it is yet, or where even the epicenter is. So it could be worse someplace else, right? I mean, we could have been on the edge of something, but it'll get your heart pumping, let me tell you that. And you guys heard me. I was straightening my wife downstairs, and I got her up, and we stood in the, they'd say the strongest place is within a doorway. So I grabbed her and we stood in the middle of the doorway till the shaking stopped. But yeah, it was damn. I've been through one. I used to live in Seattle, and I've been through was a fairly significant earthquake in Seattle. But it was a very different experience than this one. That one was more like an explosion. This was a continual shaking. So,
wow,
interesting stuff.
Well, it's just like here we go. I mean, we just hope everything's fine for you guys. Wow, that's just like on top of everything else. I mean, this.
Yeah, you just got to keep going. What next?
Yeah, what's next? It's like. I don't know. Well, Ron just told us about, and just to catch you up, Ron was talking to us about the new firmware update for the Zino 2 and having the ability to live stream to YouTube. But in the chat, Jay Berdrone put something to the effect like it's causing some FPV issues, which is very interesting. Martin, did you do your firmware update for that?
I have not updated it yet, and,
okay.
and that was on my agenda today, and I just didn't get around to doing it. So I hope to do so. Hope to get that done soon, and I'll report back on whether I see any issues with it. But I'm just tickled that Hubsan is pushing these updates out and working. Also, Ted Bowman is now saying 6.4 is what he's hearing reported.
Oh.
It felt like all of that. I have to
wow.
say, the earthquakes before. It felt every bit of that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus, when you do your report on the update, do it live from the live streaming app on the drone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, Marcus. How come you didn't have the drone out there to show us?
Well, it was live on the pre-show. Bill has it recorded, so maybe he can send me a copy of that recording when he's.
That's true.
I'd love to see it too.
Hey, Bill. Before we get this lost, Ronald Levesque is in here, and he's saying 3 people reported getting their Evo 2 from China today.
Yeah, I saw that. That's very, very interesting. We're going to talk about that coming up here. So, wow, I'm kind of amazed with that. So
a lot going on tonight, Bill.
Yeah, we do.
We got earthquakes. We got Zino 2 streaming live from YouTube. We got Evo 2s here. I mean, this is a big show.
Well, it's like it kind of reminds. And Ron was on the night that I got swatted. Okay, and Ron sees. He thought it was an EMT, but it was a sheriff's deputy walking past the door over there. When we got swatted that one night.
He stuck his head at the door and looked around or whatever, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought he was like Bill was getting invaded or something.
That's a night I'm never gonna forget. Okay, that was just uber. I mean, it's in the archives. I think it happened.
It's the shortest Rotor Talk live ever. We probably didn't get 15 minutes on the air, did we?
Yeah, we probably got 15, 20 minutes, and then I said, Ron, can you take over? Valerie came and get me, and then there's 6 sheriff's deputies in the house, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And they said, well, we got a 911 call that a man was stabbing his wife at this address, and I'm like, oh dear God in heaven. Well, to keep a long story short, our neighbor next door, they went to their house first because they couldn't triangulate the signal exactly where it came from. He answered the door instead of his wife. They drew their guns on him and asked, where's your wife? She's in the bedroom. I'll go get her. No, you stay there. We'll get her. Okay. And then they came over to our house because of this. And, it was just incredible. I don't have any other words other than the word incredible for that. But, there's some people with some, devious minds and all that kind of good stuff. And just know that's a federal offense, and it's punishable by imprisonment for life. So that's one of those things to anybody who's thinking about maybe trying to do something like that. So anyway,
it's a shame you didn't have a mobile camera and you could have followed all that action going through the house. That would have been the highest rated Rotor Talk Live of all time or whatever.
I'd have gotten 500,000 views on that.
Right.
I'd have been another Casey Neistat.
You would have. Nobody would have topped that. The police looking all over the house for the husband murderer.
And Casey would be pinging me, asking me if he could come on the show. Okay.
Right. Or for some tips.
Drone tips. Okay. Now, we have a surprise tonight. All right. And I wanted to, and I debated about this and what I was going to do. And I came to the conclusion that I said, you know what? We have a lot going on right now. We totally have a lot going on right now. I thought I'd do something live that I've never done before. Okay.
What's that, Bill?
Where's the drum roll?
We don't have special effects on this show. Yeah.
We are going to be doing an unboxing of the Zino 2 live right now. Okay.
Is that the real Zino? Is that a real Zino 2?
That is a real Zino 2. Okay. Now this is I haven't even, the seal was broken, but that's it. Okay. I have
than mine.
What's that?
Your box looks different than mine.
Well, I got the case.
Oh, he got the Flymore. Oh, Bill went
I got
the Flymore edition.
Let's see what goodies are in here. Okay. Nice little Hubsan tag. It's actually a pretty good case. It's like a fake leather, which is actually pretty nice. And there she is in all her glory. Okay.
Oh, wow.
There she is. What a beauty.
Bill, does that shoot 4K 60?
That shoots 4K 60, Ron.
Wow.
Where's yours, Ron?
She's right back here. Updated to the latest software.
Updated, and there's the sensors on the bottom.
Yeah, there's those sensors, just like DJI.
Here's mine.
See what other goodies we have in here. Okay, we have the controller here.
Bill,
Nice
does that have
controller.
removable sticks just like the DJI drones?
It has removable sticks, Ron, just like a DJI drone. Okay, and we have the obligatory instructions.
Can you read them without a microscope?
Actually, I probably can. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of amazing here, and they also list all the parts and accessories here too. When you need to order something that will take probably 6 months to get here.
Well, you will need to order a part eventually.
All right.
Nothing like confidence, Ron.
Well, what's nice in here in this bag, there's a lot of straps in here. Here's the second battery.
That's a good sized battery, Bill.
That is a very good size battery.
How many cells, Bill?
I don't know. Let's take a look here and see. Okay, I do need a magnifying glass. It's 3,800 milliamps, 15.2 volts.
Bill,
4
that looks
cells.
like a smart battery.
That looks like one of those DJI smart batteries to me.
It sure does. Here's all the 411.
That's a big boy 4-cell battery, Bill.
See, what other kind of goodies do we have down here? Spare props.
Always need those extra props.
Well, on the Mini for sure.
We'll get to that later, folks.
Okay, now this is kind of funny here because I was told this has a US plug on it. Remember, guys? Okay.
Oh yeah.
I was told that this was going to be an EU plug that I was going to, and I bought an adapter off of eBay. Well, I don't need that adapter now.
Well, guess what, Bill? If you buy enough drones, eventually somebody's going to send you one where you need that EU adapter. So don't bury that too deep.
Oh, I'm not. And here's the cable for the.
Which one do you need? The USB-C?
Yes.
It should be in there.
Oh yeah. Here's all the goodies here.
All your connectors.
All the connectors. Everything.
Just like a DJI drone.
Just like a DJI drone. Everything's here. Look at this.
Nice.
Oh, is that your USB? Is that micro USB charging?
What is? Oh, this goes to the battery.
Yeah.
That goes to the battery. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You get a real battery charger this time, not that little thing you got with the Zino 1. What would you call that battery charger we got with the Zino 1, Marcus?
Waste of money?
Yeah, it was. It was a balanced charger, but it wasn't much. That's
Toy grade.
And another set of props here. So
Bill really got the deluxe package.
Yeah.
This, I tell you what, for all you have to say about it, this is a decent case, okay? And everything fit in here very well. All right. I was pretty impressed with the case itself. and there's a nice little Hubsan logo on the case. Okay, and then a nice little Hubsan tag on the case.
Look at
Okay,
that, like a professional.
Oh, it looks good. It really does look good.
Fine leather. Now, Bill, that could be a good travel kit.
yes, it sure can. I mean, it's almost, it's a little bit bigger. I would say it's like twice the size of like a shaving kit you would take over in an overnight bag. But the quality, the build quality on this, I mean, I'm still pretty impressed with the build quality on this. I think it's pretty good. They have a couple of, they have a mesh pocket out here on both sides. No, on one side. Yeah, no, it's on both sides. They have mesh pockets.
So you can put like your cleaning cloths and things like that in there you may need.
Well, I can put my Anafi filters that I got off of Amazon.
Yes, indeed.
No, I got B&H Photo.
B&H Photo.
I stand corrected. B&H Photo.
Now, Bill, don't forget to do the firmware update for that case also.
I want to do a firmware update for the case. I'm also going to do a firmware update for the charger, okay? And then I'm going to do a firmware update for all the cables, too.
Yeah.
Hey, guys,
My
wife just walked in and told me it was a 6.3.
Okay.
What did Dr. Ted report earlier?
I think he said 6.4. Yeah.
Okay.
Evidently, she heard that on the news.
Maybe he's in a more high risk neighborhood than you.
He is actually due south of me, just probably 5 or 6 miles. So
okay.
Yeah.
Now I don't know anything about earthquake stats. Like, how's that compared to the one at Krakatoa?
Well, Krakatoa was a little different. That was a volcano that blew, Ron.
But an earthquake there too, right?
Well, yeah. Sometimes an earthquake will come with a volcano, but
yeah. I'm just trying to think of some of the great. I think one of the great earthquakes.
Yeah, but like if compared to like some of those big California earthquakes or something, yeah, 6.4 is nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way the Richter scale works is each point it's a geometrical progression of the next one. So when you hear somebody that has a 8 point something, boy, that's the ground really rolling. Yeah.
Hey, Stephen Young has a good comment in the chat, Bill. He says, by the time Bill gets all the updates done to the Zino 3 will be ready to order.
He's probably right. He's probably.
Hey, Stephen, or at least the Zino 2 Pro.
He's probably right on that score. That's for sure. But all in all, I got to say, I really like the case. I think they did a great job with the case, and I'm pleasantly surprised that it has a U.S. charger on it. I mean, that was something I was not expecting. So.
Well, Bill, start charging that battery now so you can fly it in the room before the show ends. Don't worry, the Zino's super stable. You can fly it indoors.
Well, I'm planning on. I might have to do that. I might not have a choice after all's been said and done with everything.
Zachary Keys says a 9.5 is the largest recorded earthquake.
Yeah, I think that's what they had out in San Francisco.
That
great quake, like at the turn of the century.
I thought you were saying that one during the World Series that one year.
Well, yeah, they had one that they were playing the World Series and they were at Candlestick Park. I remember it was Oakland. It was Oakland against San Francisco that year.
Yeah,
Bay Area teams when that happened. I mean, that was crazy. That was really crazy.
Hey, listen, Jay Bird made a comment here. It's a good comment. Should be pre-charged for a little flight. Yeah, I concur with Jay Bird. When I got mine, I'm going to say the battery was at half charge.
Well, I'm going to be doing that tomorrow. I'm going to be getting that charged up while I'm working from home. That's going to be my thing, and I'm going to be doing a firmware update tomorrow. And there's probably going to be a video on the firmware update, so stay tuned for that.
You can probably stay in the house and fly around the door. Just put the mask on the front of this little Zino 2 when it goes out.
That's right. That's absolutely right. We don't want to pick anything up or bring anything back into the house, more importantly. So we're going to kind of switch gears here a little bit. And there's some Autel news that happened this week. And it wasn't with the Evo 2, but we're going to talk about the Evo 2 here in a second, is that their vice president, who has been with the company since it became Autel Robotics, got fired. And then their director or vice president of social media got fired. And, it's wow. I mean, it's newsworthy, but it's like, okay, Autel's had its problems, and we all know that. Okay, when the Evo 1 came out, we're all very well aware of the time lag that had happened from CES till June. I mean, that's like 6 months. And, that's probably why this happened. But, why Autel waited until now to do this? I mean, they're based, their quote unquote headquarters is in the United States, but they're manufactured in China. And I think the mothership's over in China. So, they control the purse strings. Because I think if I'm not mistaken, Autel at the last minute had a booth at CES, but the only reason that they had that booth was because of the mothership over in China funding them, because they were, they're kind of strapped for cash as far as that's concerned.
And Bill, how much is a booth at CES?
I heard 100,000.
Oh, I heard even higher, but I mean, I don't know.
That's what somebody had told me, and that's what I heard. But and I also heard 150,000 too. So,
yeah, I can tell you, and Lauren will back it up, that every one of their badges at CES said Autel, and then right below it, Shenzhen, China.
Shenzhen, yeah. Okay. Well, the tip, the Hubsan, in all the paperwork, because I looked at the paperwork that came with it. It's the DBA, the doing business as name of Hubsan is Hubsan Shenzhen. Okay. It's right in their name. That's the name of Hubsan. So it's embedded in there. And Shenzhen's the hotbed for drones. Okay. There's no question about that. All right. Well, with all this activity being said, and now we get reported in the chat, Ron Levesque, who I know and I've met before, said that 3 people got their Evo 2s, which is a real surprise because, I chat with Ken all the time. I haven't chatted with him recently, but I know, he's on top of the Evo 2 news. And, his last video, I mean, he was saying, don't really kind of expect a whole lot to happen right now. And for 3 people to get theirs, that's pretty amazing with all that's going on. Your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm as stupefied as when I saw Marcus's house was shaking. I mean,
Well, there was a little bit more of a loss than just those 2, because there was quite a few in the social media department were kind of given the golden handshake, shall we say? And I think, like a lot of it was there was a lot of pressure to China to get the CES show to actually happen, and it was kind of a last minute thing. And I don't think they anticipated having the issues, because there's a lot more issues with the Evo 2 than what they're making public. Everything from short range disconnects to camera issues to a few other things. So I think it's kind of sad, but not really surprising. Like China will, if you're not doing your job, then somebody else will. That's basically the way it works. And I think they kind of wanted to move the control back to China, because Jeff Powell was located in the U.S. And even though the U.S. is a large market for pretty much all drone makers, I think they felt that maybe a little bit of the control was slipping away. And then the fiasco of not releasing on the promised date. I don't know about you, Marcus, but the dates that I was given, and plus the emails that I've got, it's hasn't been pretty.
No, and to discussions that we had on, I think even last week, it's so critical for Autel to meet their promises now. And Lauren, based on what you're saying, and obviously you know more about it than any of us, it sounds like there's some big problems there. Yeah, you just don't know. You got to wonder if they'll survive as a drone manufacturer. If they're not able to get that drone out and get it out in force, where you, me, or Ron, or anybody can go out and order one from your drone store or another drone store tomorrow, they're going to struggle, because DJI is not sitting on their hands. We've already heard everything. We're talking about the not the Mavic Air 2, but just the Mavic that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Gosh, that, people would be buying that instead. So, you like to see competition. It's too bad that it's not working out.
Yeah, as everybody said, it's you hate seeing anybody lose their job, but again, we know Autel seems to have a problem delivering products according to their timeline, not to our timeline, to their own timeline. But I don't understand about the social media people in particular, because the social media wise, they've done a good job of drumming interest up, and people want to order. People are trying to get it. It's
actually not really, Marcus, because there's a lot of things where they haven't been doing regular updates on social media.
Oh,
got a little aftershock there, guys.
Really?
Yeah.
I was wondering. I thought you went, "Whoa, I want to talk."
No. We just had an aftershock that my whole monitor and everything shook there for a second. But anyway.
But Ron, their social media department wasn't doing regular updates, and the stuff that they were sending out apparently struck the wrong nerve with some people, because they felt it was, shall we say, less than accurate. So rather than just putting the cards on the table and telling them. And the other thing is that I heard, unconfirmed, of course, is that they're looking for more yes people. So,
that's probably true. I think, and I can really speak to what Lauren was saying about their social media, because they only really seem to focus on social media on Facebook. On Twitter, they were pretty non-existent with any kind of updates or things, but they did focus on Facebook, and their messages were very cryptic at times, and they weren't real. Vague is probably the best word to describe some of the posts that they would put out there. And then, they would put the obligatory, 10-second clip from, their promo shots that they would put out there. They would post that, and just say, the excitement's coming, it'll be here soon, and all this, but that's it. And then, people would ask them questions, and it used to be one of the guys that was there, who's no longer with Autel, that I'd communicated with before. He got very abrasive at times when you asked him some pointed questions. And, their social media has always been kind of uncomfortable to me. Now, even with all that being said, when I've done social media with DJI, more often than not, I take the approach when I'm approaching DJI with social media, I speak very nicely and politely with them. And, it seems to bode well when I do that. Okay. It seems I seem to get some favor when I do that. So,
well, that, just like you say, the messages haven't been clear, and they're supposed to be social media, so they should be posting everywhere and anywhere. And clear and concise information is what people want. And then when people start complaining, they're not getting the information back. Well, that, of course, is going to lead to unhappy customers. And believe me, that's the last thing that Autel wants right now, because they want to try and rival DJI, and God love them. I hope that they do, because that's good for all of us in the end. If you want the best drones, you've got to have companies that are fighting for it. They want our dollars. Then show me why I should buy yours. So
let me run this by you, Lauren. So
sure.
From my perspective, I'm thinking, if I'm looking for a drone right now, a higher end drone, right? I mean, what I'm saying is a prosumer drone, like a Mavic 2 Pro or something like that. If I can choose between that and that new Evo 2, even though that Evo 2 might have a few specs that look kind of interesting in it, you know what I know when I'm going to buy that, why I'm going to buy that Mavic? Because I know it's an established company that's going to stand by their product, and that it's going to be there tomorrow. And this track record that we're seeing with Autel is not good. So I would be a little nervous about it. I'm going, well, okay, I might buy that Autel drone, but are they going to be here next year? I know for sure DJI is.
Yeah.
Well, myself, and this is one to consider based on your question there, Marcus, is actually the the X Dynamics Evolve 2. If you haven't looked at that drone, that is like, it's a prosumer drone, but like, they've followed through. They've nailed their deadlines so far on everything that they've done. And it's actually just an amazing drone. And you saw that at CES. Like, one of the things that really ultra impressed me was just how quiet that thing was. And, you know, that's one thing we all want, is a very, very quiet drone. And because, hey, you know, no sense stirring up the neighbors. So.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
But how much did you look at that Evolve 2, Marcus?
I spent a fair amount of time in there. It's a piece of art, if you can say that. But, you know, the thing is that Evolve 2 it's just above my skill level. I'm just going to tell you, as far as photographic wise and so forth. You know, I mean, I would, that to me, it is in between like a Mavic 2 and an Inspire, right? It's
that's what it's intended for. Yep, that's what it's intended for. Like I say, that's a prosumer drone. It's not a consumer drone. It's, you know, if you're on the higher end of consumer, but you don't want to go quite with the money of getting an Inspire, it's just a perfect stepping stone. And quite frankly, I think that when all is said and done, it could actually give the Inspire a good shot for its money. The biggest thing with that is not having the full 360 rotating gimbal, you know, which is kind of unfortunate. But that being said, the picture quality out of that, the smoothness of that, the flight time, you know, that just beats the heck out of an Inspire. Yeah. So it's just an amazing drone.
Well, I don't know if you saw
at that price point, Lauren. I think the only problem here in the U.S. The only people buying it are going to be the Part 1 and 7 pounds that make money with their drones. Very few just hobbyists are going to reach that far for the price point.
Oh, absolutely,
extremely wealthy. And I got a solution to Evo's problem. I think they should build a drone reviewer, that new VP. I bet you he could get that company turned around, and he could rival DJI if he took the reins.
Only if I could operate out of Florida. That would be the only way I would do that.
You'll never have to leave your office here.
That's right. It would be in the Build a Drone Reviewer studio. I don't know if you saw Ron Levesque had posted. Autel posted a bunch of setup videos for the Evo 2 out on YouTube. So peruse those at your leisure. Thanks, Ron.
Who posted them? The social media team's gone.
Yeah, I know. It's probably their VP is probably doing all the social media now. So they're probably doing that as well. I mean, probably working both ends of things.
Bill, hire me as a social media guy.
Jeff Powell's already got a new job.
Doesn't surprise, but well, let me guess, DJI. He got a job with DJI.
No. He's already got a new job, and he's working actually as a CEO. So
very good.
Good for him.
That's good. Well, you know, along the lines of, with Autel, that kind of begs the question, and and this is what I want to spend part of the show talking about tonight is, Lauren's been telling us about the DJI Mavic, or the Mavic, the successor to the Mavic Air, coming soon. And with everything that's going on right now, and I don't want to, we'll kind of close on the pandemic talk at the end of the show. But, with that being said, is this going to play into DJI's release strategy for when they release this drone, or, is it going to be full speed ahead? What are you guys' thoughts for something like that?
Well, personally, I don't see, I think I mentioned it last week, but I think the next release from DJI is going to be held off longer than anticipated. And the key thing there is getting through this coronavirus, because two key things. One is, why have a party if nobody's going to show up? And two, there's a lot of uncertainty in job markets. So purchasing a new drone is probably going to be way, way down on the shopping list. So and you always want to release something that's going to be a winner and attract sales right away. So if you're dealing with a consumer level drone, you've got to look at your market. And if the consumers don't have the money because of everything that's going on, why would you release it? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point, Lauren.
And
Marcus, Ron, what are your thoughts?
that's something that's going to hurt Autel as well, because people are, they're not spending money on drones right now. They're making sure that they get food in the house and laying low. So, maybe we'll see an explosion in drone purchases this fall, and I hope we do. And I also want to add that, I wish Autel the best. I hope that they do something really good. But I'm just saying that this is not going to help them. And I'm just looking at the average drone purchaser, and are you going to spend money on an Autel? You got the unknowns of regulation right now in the U.S., as well as a company that's potentially not so financially stable, and are they going to be able to provide backup for that drone? And the thing is, DJI, they will. So they got a tough row to hoe. But I wish them the best.
Ron, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really going to, DJI, they haven't really announced anything. So if they push an unannounced product back, it doesn't make any difference because they haven't announced anything. So they got it easy. But, Autel, I mean, they've already announced this product, and they're late on the dates they promised. So they have to come out with it. They're releasing this product that's kind of a make it or break it product for them in the middle of, just as you pointed out, Bill, what possibly could be, or Lauren pointed out, could be a disastrous market situation for the next couple of months. So I wish them the best of luck. And on a side note, Bill, did we got rumors that Evo 2's been delivered. Can you go to we'll say Best Buy online or any place online and order it today, or is it still not?
From last I heard, you still can't.
Yeah, so it's still, to me, it's still kind of not a real product, because you cannot just go and order one right now and get a shipping date that is coming next week. So it's not a real product to me until a regular person could just go to a retailer and order it. No prepays and all that. I mean, just straight up buy. So we're not there.
One of the other things that I want to throw into this conversation as well, and this is. And I'm sorry, we're all going through this right now, is, the real possibility of lockdowns and, just being allowed outside your house to get groceries or medical supplies, kind of a thing. And, I'm sure that it would really be frowned upon if you were to go out in your backyard, even your backyard, and fly your drone. I mean, it might get to that point, because the whole thing was, the emphasis is on sheltering in place, and that may become a reality for a couple of weeks here. So it's going to, even getting the drone at this point, okay, having the opportunity to go to getting it is one thing. Having the opportunity to go out and fly it where you normally fly it is a totally another subject right now that we could spend a whole show on. I mean, it's at that point, because it's like, Marcus, Snake River Canyon, or going out to the
reservoir. Sure.
And Ron, even going to the beach now, they might be just locking things down and saying, nobody's going in. I mean, except for getting groceries, or if my younger son has a note in his car and he leaves it in his car because he lives in Ohio. And he works at food service in an assisted living facility. And that note says that he's allowed to travel back and forth to work. And that's in case he gets stopped by law enforcement. So he can just show them that note, and he leaves it in the car all the time. Other than that, or getting groceries or medical supplies, that's it. They're not going to let people out. And, we'll talk about this here in a minute. But, what are your thoughts about that? I mean, do you think it's gonna come down to this, guys?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of in a different shoe than you guys, because But I can tell you that our streets are really, really bare. There's not a lot of people that are going out pretty much unless you need to. Everything that I'm seeing media-wise, like the media, what's real and what's fact, it's up to you to decide. But the social distancing down in the U.S. seems to be pretty atrocious compared to what I see up here, And like New York City got hit real hard. As I say, I lost a friend on Friday, but it's pretty tough to actually social distance when what were the numbers they were given? They got 10,000 people per square kilometer. Like how do you social distance in that? So
yeah.
It's no wonder New York has the problems that they do. But,
yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
And I think what we're going to do now is, at this point of the show, what you guys have any thoughts? Because I
want to go back to Autel.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to Autel.
Okay. Like I say, I really hope Autel does good. As I say, it's good for everybody. But I think one of the key things that's going to be a real make or break is once they figure out the issues on the Autel 2, is just how fast on its tail that they make the Autel 2 Pro available.
Mm-hmm.
If that comes out, back to back with the other one, that's where I think that they're really going to gain consumer confidence, because the 2 is delayed. That doesn't necessarily mean the 2 Pro should be, right? Because if they figure it out, we're talking the same drone, just different cameras,
Right.
So
True.
as long as they have the stock to do it, then if they can, take their lumps on the Evo 2 and get the 2 Pro out there, they're going to save a lot of face in my mind. But
Lauren, do you think the Pro will be the best selling of the 3 Evos that they announced?
absolutely, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
8K is wonderful, but realistically, most people don't have the horsepower to process the video. So some people are going to want it, just if nothing else, for future proofing. But processing that video, unless you're doing some roundabout ways, which that they're out there, you can use proxies, for example, which pretty much allows most computers to do just about any video size if you're using proxies. But most people, like, so you shot 8K video. Have you got an 8K TV to even watch it on? It's good to be able to, if you're going to crop your shots, to bring them in, but do we really need it? Now,
Yeah, I agree, Lauren. And you say, are we ready for 8K? And by the time we all have 8K TVs and 8K computers or whatever, we'll have a new drone anyways.
or several.
Yeah, so it's not like, we're going to, if we bought this Evo Pro, we're going to still be, well, I mean, some people may. It's a good drone, but in 4 or 5 years, we probably have a different drone anyways, so we future-proofed way too soon.
Yeah, well, as Douglas points out, the Pro's going to dominate. And why? It's because it should give the Mavic 2 Pro a good run for its money. And there's certain things that, if it's as good as it's supposed to be, it should give it a very good, serious run. And a lot of people flat out, they don't want to buy a Mavic 2 Pro because it's DJI. Some people are just anti-DJI.
Right.
And the
Not
fact,
very many.
yeah, there's enough. But the other thing that's really going to make it step up to the plate, if its specs are as good as it's supposed to be, is the fact that you've got no geofencing, right? So that's one huge advantage over the 2 Pro. For those that just absolutely can't stand the geofencing, for the most part, I'm in favor of it. But DJI has really got to step up to the plate and get their geofencing right. There's a lot of places that are not or should not be geofenced, but they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the most common questions I get on my pages, my DJI pages, Lauren, is, I've applied for a waiver, and I sent it in, and DJI isn't removing it, and I'm 7 miles outside an airport, but they say that I'm still within 5 miles of the airport and I can't fly, and that I see probably, that's the question I probably see across the groups more often than not, is that question regarding the geofencing on DJI drones and getting it released. And it's like it's easy with the apps to apply and get the waiver, but once you get the waiver, it's like DJI has to release things, and it could be a real pain in the butt at times to get that done.
Well, that's kind of part and parcel where I have the issue, is the fact that, like I say, the geofencing is good. It hopefully deters the ne'er-do-wells from flying where they shouldn't. But DJI puts themselves in the place of the enforcer then, right? And that should be the job of law enforcement, not a individual company.
Oh, I agree.
That's my thoughts.
I agree. I mean, they should have, set the standards, and then that's it. Okay. Just, if you have that, if it, and make it right. Okay. Because like so many times I see people, like, I live 7 miles outside the airport and they're still saying I'm within the airport zone. What's given here? I mean, it's like, isn't everything supposed to be pinpoint accurate and where I'm at and everything? And, the before you fly app and the other apps say I'm good to go, but the DJI Go 4 app says no, I can't. I'm within 5 miles. I mean, it's so frustrating for people. Metro Drones, thank you very much for the super chat. Hope you're doing well tonight.
Hey, Bill, what or Laura, what was the first DJI drone that had the flight restrictions built in it?
Phantom 3 Pro.
Oh, really? It goes that far back to the Phantom 3 Pro?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I was going to say 4, but wow. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Hey, one point to Lauren's. Talk about the Evo 2 Pro. I think this is it's a small part of the market, but it's a vocal part of the market. The people that require the 4K 60, but they want it in a foldable travel drone. They don't want to buy a larger drone like a Phantom 4 Pro, whatever. The Evo 2 will be a good option for those people. Agree, Lauren?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
My total apologies, Ron. What was that?
I was saying that another selling point for that Evo 2 Pro is there's a large, well, I don't know how large, but there's a special section market there that wants 4K at 60 frames per second. And they can't get it in right now. They can't get it in they want a 1-inch sensor and they want 4K 60, and they can't get that from the Mavic 2 Pro, and maybe they don't want a larger drone like the Phantom 4 Pro. So that'll be a good alternative for those people as who need a 1-inch sensor but want 60 frames per second also.
Yeah, absolutely, and like again. One advantage to the Evo 2 Pro, right, is you've got that ability. I think the real winner, but also going to be kind of a loser, but the real winner is going to be the guy that comes out with the 4K camera that does 120 frames a second, so that you can do your slow-mo right on there, right, and do it decently. The biggest problem, the loser out of that is, like, I've got, I use a SD card that's capable of it. Most SD cards don't even think about it because your bit rate is just going to be astronomical. But, my camera.
Cards again.
Yeah. So, it's like the card that I use in my 2 Pro will do 230 megabits a second, right?
Wow.
So, like, it's fast, but the card was $170 too.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
So how many people want to spend that, right? So,
can I switch gears for just a second, Bill?
Go for it.
Because I got a question for Lauren. So, Lauren, I had some issues with my Mavic Mini with those rear props, deforming. I'm just wondering how much of that you're seeing, and how common is that?
Stay tuned to tomorrow night's show.
Okay.
No, actually, I'm going to be discussing that tomorrow night on my show.
Okay.
And,
Sorry, I just
that is have I seen that at work? No. Do I know what's happening? Yes. And yes, Marcus, you nailed it on the head with your video talking about that. Is what everything that I'm seeing is for not having the props in the right place when you put it in the case there. So, well, THF tonight was talking about, how often you should replace your props. I highly recommend to everybody that every 50 flight hours, you should replace your props. And some people say, well, why? They're fine. Well, what does a set of props cost you compared to a new drone?
there you go. Yeah.
That's such cheap insurance,
Yeah.
that why not? I replace mine every 50 flight hours, or if I notice any, and I repeat, any damage on them at all, So
Hey, I'm seeing Ron's comment here about fully opening your props before
I'm glad
flight.
you saw that, Marcus.
Yeah. So do you want to take that one, Ron?
I think you can explain it better than I can.
Well, our friend Gorilla Man up in he's in Ontario, in Canada. He took some slow motion video of his props spinning up on his Parrot Anafi. It's fascinating. I wish I had a link. Ron, maybe you can put the link in there if you could find it.
Okay, you keep talking. I'll work on it.
But what he showed was when you spread those props, as it spins up, it actually torques that motor and slams those props against the peg there, and he actually started seeing issues with his Anafi props. Now, would that be the same on a DJI drone? I cannot say for certain, but I can tell you I'll never spread my props again before I start again. He had tests both ways. He had them with the props spread, and they just slam into the side of that thing, and he had them together, and they just come out and start spinning. So it's very interesting. Recommend that video, and you'll think about what you do with your props beforehand.
Wow. That's some good education. And buying new props is very cheap insurance for your drone. I mean, it's like, I went on a hunt. Okay. I went on a hunt to try to find the regular props for the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0. I can't find them. Okay. DJI doesn't sell them. I didn't see them on Amazon. I even checked eBay, couldn't find them because I know Ken Herron put them on and said they're more efficient in terms of your flight time and other characteristics. So not so much the sound, but for the flight time and for speed and performance performance characteristics. So it's cheap. I mean, for the Mavic Mini, for the Mavic 2 Pro, I mean, those are cheap fixes. And I have to say this, and this is from everything I've learned about aftermarket props. No, no, and no. Those are the three rules with aftermarket props. Don't even think about them, okay? Because I know our friend Art out in Colorado, okay? He had tried putting aftermarkets on his Phantom 3, and it was almost a total disaster. So it's just one of those things you just avoid it, at all costs. You don't even think about it. You don't even go there.
Hey, Bill, can I pile on to that? There was
Sure.
Obviously, I've been getting feedback since I posted that video on the Mini.
Oh yeah.
Guys in the feedback warning about going out on Amazon and buying some of those cheap colored props for the little Mini. They said they are horrible. They don't work. Just save your money.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it is. I mean, I'll go out and see. One of the things that I do, and what's nice is I got extra props with my Zino too, so I won't have to go out and do that. But like when the first set of accessories that I'll order after I get the drone physically on site, I'll order extra sets of props. That's what I did. I have a spare set for the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0. I got a spare set for the Mavic Mini. I got a spare set for my Mavic 2 Pro. So I'm all set. when that happens. And then, like Lauren said, if I get a nick in one of them, it's gone. Okay. I don't even hesitate. It's gone. And sometimes I'm so, militant about it is I'll just say, heck with it. I'll take all 4 props off and change all 4 of them at the same time. Because, it's like, here it is. Here's the kind of the way I look at it. It's like, the old rotate your tires and balance rotate your tires kind of thing on your cars. Every so many miles, you rotate your tires front to back or back to front or however they do it. It's the same way with your drones. Okay. With your props. It's like, not necessarily rotate them, but, every so many hours, like Lauren said, change them. Just do it.
A lot of people are asking about master air screw in the chat. How do you feel about those?
Well, and I'll say this, and I know from talking to, and I think, Bill Thomas said it best, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron or Marcus, I think you probably know this, is, the first thing it said in there is, you assume the liability. When you put those master air screws on there, okay, it's all on you. If something happens to that drone or everything, it's your liability. It's your responsibility. So, when I see something like that, that makes me just stop and say, whoa. Okay. And I know a lot of guys have had it. And I also know too, that you have to adjust and correct me if I'm wrong here, Marcus or Ron, I think you might know this, on the Mavic Air, that's how they got their claim to fame, is it messes with the torque on the motors. Okay. And you kind of have to gear things down as far from what I understand. When am I right?
The Mavic Air now, and Lauren probably knows more about this than any of us, but didn't they, with the master air screws at first, they were having problems with them getting those prop warnings, right? Spinning them up too fast. And so Mavic, the master air screw came out with a recommendation of adjustments to the ESCs to make them work. Well, I don't know how many people are going to go to that much trouble, but
and that's my thoughts on master air screw. I mean, if you want to do it, that's your gig, and you're more than welcome to do it. But understand, it's that liability's on you. And you know what? Here's what I say. Okay, it's like I constantly get this question. When a new drone comes out, and what kind of case can you recommend, Bill? What kind of case? What kind of case? Here's my thing. All right. You've spent $1,500 on a Mavic 2 Pro, but you want to put it in a $30 case. Okay. Come on here, guys. Okay. It's kind of easy here. All right. For me. All right. I'll spend $100 on a case. It doesn't bother me to do that. People are just like all up in arms about, I've spent $100 to put this. And I'm like, guys, think about it. Okay. You're transporting, especially if here's a good example. Is if you're flying somewhere and you can't put it in your overnight bag or whatever, okay, and you have to put it in the overhead luggage compartment or beneath you, you're not going to want a soft side. And I know what Ron's going to say, because Ron's carried his in his photographer's bag, which is I think it's kind of built and would handle that. But for me personally, when I'm traveling with a more expensive drone, I want to protect the daylights out of that thing. I'll spend $100. I don't have an issue with that. And it's the same thing with props. I'll spend the money to get the OEM props on my drones, because you know what? I don't want to mess with performance or any kind of issues related because I put on aftermarket props. I want to get out there. I want to enjoy flying. Okay. And if I'm having to worry about aftermarket props and what kind of performance issues they're going to cause, I don't want to have to worry about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, Bill, can I interrupt just for a second, because I know we're about to end the show. That link Marcus wanted me to post, I have it in a private chat. It's a second YouTube link. I cannot drop it myself because ZinoNation doesn't have a.
Right now, Ron.
Yeah. Go for it, Marcus.
Yeah. So I can't post it, but it's there. So sorry, and I've never used the master air screws, so I have no really firsthand knowledge of them. A lot of people actually, you talked about, you would just get the good OEM props, but many people consider the master air screws an upgrade over the OEM props, not a cheap replacement. But I know that, and people have been using these master air screw props since the toy drone days. So, and I'm not saying they're good or bad. I have almost no opinion whatsoever on them because I've never used them.
Well, you
Hey,
know,
there's Metro Drones had just put up a comment.
let me put that back there. I put Master Air Screw on the Mavic 2 Pro and looks pretty cool. Haven't noticed any performance differences, but they do sound different. They're pretty noisy in the wind. So that's real interesting there. All right, we're gonna wrap things up, and you know, we're gonna spend a few minutes talking about what's going on in the world. And I'm gonna go last, but you know, Marcus, if you want to start us off and your thoughts about, I mean, if you want to share some drone thoughts, that's fine too. But you know, I want to kind of focus on what's going on right now. So take it away, Mark.
Sorry, guys, I've got to head out.
Okay, Mark.
I've got prior commitments. So, night, everybody. Have a
Good
great
night,
night.
Lauren. Up in our sympathies regarding your friend.
Okay, thank you.
Take care, Lauren.
You betcha.
Yeah. So,
Marcus.
Bill, a little bit about drones, and that is, you know, folks, we are in the middle of some tough times right now, and everybody is stressed out. Everybody, because you're not getting out of your house. You're limited on what you can do. A lot of people have a lot of financial stress right now. Get out there and fly your drone if you can. There's nothing that'll put a bigger smile on your face. And I've been saying it for a while now, but I'm going to be like a broken record on this one. You know, now above all, let's just be kind to each other. Look out for your neighbors, and hopefully your neighbors are looking out for you. But you know, if somebody says something on Facebook you don't like or whatever, don't flame them. If you don't like it, just move on to the next one. Let's encourage each other and let's be nice to each other. And, you know, let's stay safe. Let's keep our social distancing rules in place so that we can protect each other as much as we can, and we will get through this. And that's it. Ron Brown.
Thank you, Marcus, and I'm glad my good friend Marcus Crawford is safe tonight after what I just saw go on in the pre-show with that room rumbling around. So it is as scary as the coronavirus is. Marcus had an up close and personal scare here just a little over an hour ago. So I'm glad you're safe, and I hope that's the last rumble you get tonight. But yeah, on to the tough times with the virus and people being out of work, and small business owners like Sean Isles, suffering through this closed down of business. It's definitely a tough time. And I know some people say, oh, you guys are just complaining about the drones and whatever. And we do it more or less as a relief from the stress of the real world, not to, not as, we really expect anybody to be sad because we're not getting our drone deliveries. Again, it's just kind of a relief from all the talk you hear almost all day long about the virus. And, and they were talking earlier about it being closed in. As of this morning, the governor of New Jersey, you still could go out and walk for exercise. You were not homebound. You were, because it was, social distancing, no large groups, only driving to the grocery store or whatever, and the drugstore. But you could walk in your own neighborhoods throughout. Now that could change by tomorrow, but as today, that was what was coming down. And I don't think it violates the president's current orders either, and even your local government, your town's rules too. So that was the rules this morning. Again, it could change tomorrow. So I mean, I still try to get a little exercise outdoors. I mean, some people think I'm at risk, outdoors, and maybe they're right, but again, all our leaders, from my mayor, my governor, and my president, haven't told me I can't walk around the block for exercise. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. But I want to thank everybody in the chat tonight for popping in and spending time with us tonight, and people from all over the country there. I hope everybody's safe out there, and they will be safe over the next 30 days, because by what I hear from Dr. Fauci, we haven't hit the high point yet. So we really need to as Bill would say, hunker down over this next month and get through the peaks or whatever, and hopefully get back to living our normal lives in May. But okay, I'm going to get down from my soapbox here, and I'm going to turn it over to the Bill.
First thing I want to say is, you brought up Sean Oz, and if you guys know him, he's a great YouTuber. And really enjoyed getting a chance to know him and talk to him last night on ZinoNation. And if you guys get a chance, this is a chance for anyone that's hearing my voice right now. If you could help him out by buying some merchandise, he has some of his T-shirts for sale. Check out his site. I'll make sure we drop a link in the description, after the show gets posted. So do that and help him out because, he's a small business owner and he's been shut down. And, now he told us last night, this was his time of the year to make money. And, he lives basically in a resort town in Colorado and it's shut down. And, nobody's coming and they're blocking people from coming, which is a good thing. And they're doing some good things out in Colorado. So get a chance to support Sean. And I will say that, I heard a saying today, about practicing social distancing. And it's really kind of one that really brings it home. I'd rather be 6 feet apart than 6 feet under. Okay. I can't say it any more than that. We heard sobering stats tonight during the White House press briefing. With the best mitigation efforts, we may lose 100,000 to 200,000 Americans. Think about that. Okay. This isn't the flu, guys. And if you're hearing my voice, let me tell you something. Okay. You do not want to go on a respirator. And let me repeat that again. You do not want to go on a ventilator, period. Okay. I can guarantee you that. You don't even want to think about that. And I would appreciate an extra prayer for us down here in Florida because, I'm just going to say our governor is not making wise decisions. He shut part of the state down, but he won't shut the whole state down. And I think in order to beat the virus and in order for us to come out on the other side, he has to shut things down. Fortunately, my county has issued a safer at home order, but you're still allowed to go out and about, get groceries and whatnot. But like Lauren said, he doesn't see many people practicing social distancing the way it should be practiced down here. And I agree with him. And I want to let all of you know, and I've let Ron and Marcus know this, that as of this Saturday, we're making a decision. We're going to shelter in place for 2 weeks. And that means no contact, no groceries, no nothing. Because these next 2 weeks here are going to make or break, it for a lot of people. And I am adamant about that. And I mean, even to the point of stopping mail for 2 weeks, we have to take this seriously, guys. There's no, there's no sugarcoating this. Okay. This disease kills. And you see the stats and it does hit older people harder. And it also hits younger people as well, too. I mean, this doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care the color of your skin, your race, your creed, your national origin. It doesn't care. It doesn't discriminate. It will, if you get it, and you survive, you're a very fortunate person. And you don't want to have to go to the hospital with this. Okay. You just don't. So, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone. I want to call out, my mom was a registered nurse for 40 years and I know she had saved lives before. She was an industrial nurse her last 20 years and she literally saved lives. And my hat's off to all the nurses, the doctors, and everyone who is in the medical profession right now. Our thoughts and prayers are first and foremost with you because, you're exposing yourself to this time and time again during the day. To all the EMS workers and paramedics and other first responders, the firefighters who may have to go in and get people and, expose themselves. Our thoughts and prayers are with you guys as well. We're hopeful, but we're realistic at the same time. And, just do what your government says. Follow the practices that they encourage you to do. It's an old saying, wash your hand, they've been beating it, but you need to do it. Wash your hands. My hands are so dry. I'm having to put hand cream on them multiple times a day because I've been washing them so much. Anything that comes to our house, I have a Clorox bleach cleaning solution in a bottle and I spray everything with a paper towel and then I wipe everything down. And then we throw the bags away. They go right to the garbage can. All right. We're taking all the precautions that we can. And I hope all of you do as well. Take this seriously. and we'll get through to the other side. We will make it. Okay. Trust me, we will make it, but follow what your government tells you to do. You know, stay safe. If you have a lockdown, you know, stay in lockdown. I saw Stephen Ewing posted, you're only allowing one person in a pharmacy or a grocery store at a time, you know, which is, you know, it's the sign of the times, and we'll make it through. Okay. You know, we're here, you know, it's a pleasure to be on ZinoNation with Ron and Marcus. It's a pleasure to be with you guys as well. You know, every Tuesday night. And, you know, that's all I can say at this point. You know, it always is a great day to fly, but you know what? You know, I'll even say this, you know, 30 days. Let's do, I'll close the show with 30 days. Okay. Hope everyone, please stay safe. Please follow what your government tells you to do. And we'll see you next Tuesday night.
And don't forget to go over the Philly Drone live show next.
Yes, to see Ron and Mr. Mikey.